I have a confession. I've quit the gym. But it's probably not for the reasons that you think. So recently we moved and we started at a new gym. And since then, I basically fell out of love with my training. I was forcing myself through my sessions. I had no motivation. I didn't want to be there. I felt like I was kind of just showing up and going through the motions, but I wasn't putting in any energy really. I wasn't pushing myself. I wasn't really trying. I was just there to show up and move through it. And I quickly kind of clued on that I lost my spark for training. So I guess this created the catalyst for me to take a step back and work out, okay, why has this spark gone? What's changed and why aren't I feeling it? Yes, it goes through ebbs and flows of seasons of motivation and being locked in, and seasons when training feels more difficult and harder to show up. I kind of knew that no, there's something causing this. It's not just a lack of motivation. And I realized that it was actually the environment that I was training in. Now, something that I think I've really taken for granted over the years without realizing, living in Melbourne, was the absolute amazing access that we had to incredible gyms down there. The gyms are just, I don't know, on another level. They were elite in terms of facilities, setup, kind of the bougie designs of them, the inclusions in your memberships, all of the things. And for years I've kind of chosen to train at, I guess, more boutique style gyms, ones that are a little bit smaller, more member capped, that little bit pricier but not ridiculous, and they are a little bit more more upmarket compared to your chain gyms, your Anytime Fitnesses and that sort of thing. And for me, that's fine. I don't mind paying a little bit more for that quality, that service and that environment, because obviously training is my job, my everything, my life. So that's okay for me to do. So we moved to the Gold Coast a few months ago, and obviously we had to find a new gym. And I was really, really surprised when we got here that there were just honestly not many available that were doing it for me. There was your usual chain gyms, which are big box, cheap and cheerful. They are what they are. There were very few kind of boutique gyms, and then there were a lot of group fitness gyms. So nothing was really quite hitting the mark. We went and trialed a bunch of them. We did test quite a lot. We went and looked at a few, and some were just too small with not enough equipment. Some were more functional than what we wanted. Our options were kind of really limited. So we ended up signing up with one that did have a really great range of equipment. It was pretty big, and it seemed like it'd be pretty okay. We were kind of a little bit, I guess, backed into a corner at the time because there weren't many options. So we went with that one. And let me tell you, it did not take long before I was hating going there. And this is at no fault of the gym whatsoever. This is just more so my personal experience and my personal preferences with training. And that's what I want to reiterate to you, is to know that it's not necessarily that you don't like the gym, or it's not necessarily that you aren't motivated to train, or your sessions feel really hard, or you feel uncomfortable in the space. It might not be the gym environment, it might just be the current gym that you are in, and you need to explore what else is out there. So for me, this gym that we were going to was always packed. We played with so many times and just couldn't find a time that worked. You always had to wait for machines. It was always so busy. It was really unorganized. There was just shit everywhere, attachments, weights, people. There was just so much going on. It was really kind of disheveled compared to what I was used to training in. It just wasn't doing it. The kind of environment overall was what I was starting to dread, where every session felt harder than it needed to be, and I was really just dragging myself there. So I realized that it wasn't my motivation, it wasn't my lack of discipline, it wasn't my training, it was the environment that I was in. And I am someone that values my environments in all aspects, and my gym and my training environment is no different to that. So I decided to quit. I ended my membership. And like I said, options were limited, but luckily a few new ones have opened up since we've moved. We've explored other ones, and I've found one that aligns so much better. And my spark for training is back. I feel locked in. I love going into that environment, and I feel like my training and performance has just doubled as a result. So it goes to show that it's not necessarily you or your training or the gym environment that's the problem. It sometimes can be your environment. And this translates into so many seasons and so many different aspects of your life. It's something that if you've read the book Atomic Habits, they go into depth in it, in this concept in there, and it's literally called environmental design, and really putting yourself in the driver's seat of realizing that you get to shape every experience nearly that you get to have. And the way that you set up your environment really does dictate the flow of ease that may or may not come from that. So it links into things like, for example, forming a new habit, right? Environmental design can play into that so incredibly to make your life so much easier. Like if we break it down to something as simple as trying to build a new habit of wanting to take your supplements every day. And at the moment, you might take them really sporadically. You always forget. It's hard to remember. You have good intentions, but you just never seem to be able to follow through on actually building that habit consistently. When we look at your environment though, your supplements are currently in a drawer at the back of your cupboard, shoved away, where every time you need to take them, you need to get them out. You need to remember to go and get them so you can take them. So instead, if we design your environment a little bit better to facilitate that habit, to then align with that action, we instead take your supplements, we remove them from the back of the cupboard, and we place them out next to your toothbrush on your bathroom bench. So now it's going to be so much harder for you to forget to implement that habit, because every time you go to brush your teeth, your supplements are going to be sitting right there next to your toothbrush. It's going to trigger that response in your brain when you see those supplements sitting there to take your supplements before you brush your teeth. And then this is a byproduct, also links into something called habit stacking, which is basically taking a new habit that you're trying to implement and stacking it with a habit that you already do on autopilot. So for example, here we've designed your environment by moving those supplements to where your toothbrush is. Then we're habit stacking. So we're taking that new habit, which is your supplement intake, and stacking it with brushing your teeth. That's something that happens on autopilot every single night and morning. So you know that you're going to then be able to sandwich that stack in there to have your supplements as well. And environmental design is something that seems so simple when you really break the concept down, but it truly is something that has changed my life in so many ways. I now look at every aspect of my life and think, okay, how can I make this flow better? How can I just kind of leave that little cue for myself for later to remember to implement that habit? How can I build upon this thing that I'm trying to implement and make it easier to start to do? Whatever it may be, if I can switch something in my immediate environment to facilitate that better, then I will be the first person to do that. And for me, most recently, it has been environmental design through my training environment, canceling that gym membership that wasn't really serving me and wasn't inspiring me, finding a new environment that I felt so much better in. Then as a result, my health and fitness flows 100 times easier. So this is your little, I guess, reminder to take a bird's eye view over your current habits and routine, see what's not flowing. And if something isn't, let's get nitty gritty and look at your immediate environment surrounding that habit and maybe what you can alter to make that flow a little bit better. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this valuable. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe below. I will see you in the next video.